Are you looking for ways to meal prep and stay within your budget? Well, you're in the right place. Today, I'm gonna walk you through 2 recipes that you can meal prep on a really good budget. We're talking $1.50 a serving. Yes, that good. So we are going to be making breakfast burritos and a baked breakfast casserole. Since I'm making 2 breakfast recipes, I need 2 pounds of sausage, and we are going to start off by browning our sausage. I am using chicken sausage that I bought from just our local grocery store. You can use whatever kind of sausage you want. Chicken, turkey, regular pork sausage. It does not matter for this recipe. You could even use hamburger if you really wanted to. I just like the extra flavors of sausage for breakfast recipes. While we wait for the pan to heat up, I am going to measure out 4 cups of hash browns for our burritos. And then we'll also need hash browns for the breakfast casserole, but I'll measure that out here in a little bit. I'll measure that out later. And you could make your own hash browns homemade if you have a garden and you plant potatoes. I have made homemade hash browns before and they turn out really delicious, but I don't have hash browns or potatoes from the garden yet, so we are going with frozen store-bought ones, which is totally fine. Sounds like our sausage is starting to heat up, so we're gonna go over and brown that. I honestly haven't made breakfast burritos in quite a while. I made them a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago now, when I was pregnant, and they were a fantastic postpartum breakfast. I made them while I was pregnant and then stored them in the freezer for a month or so, and they were really just one of the best postpartum meals that I had prepped for myself. I'm so glad I did that. This is seriously one of my favorite kitchen utensils. I didn't have one for the longest time, and then I got a couple for Christmas, and I use them all the time. This one's a Pampered Chef one, which they have great products, or you can get them Kohl's, Amazon, anywhere, but I love these. They're so easy to use and great to brown your hamburger with. I'm gonna drain some of this grease off because there's a lot in here. Just so I can brown it a little bit easier without it spraying all over me. I'm going to attempt to scoop about half of this hamburger or sausage out of here so we can save that half for the casserole that we're gonna make. That looks like about half. We'll save this and set it to the side. Now over here, we're gonna cook our hash browns. One trick we like to use for cooking hash browns eggs is to save bacon grease and add that to our pan to cook with. While we wait for our hash browns to finish cooking up and browning, I'm going to prep our eggs. We need 8 eggs for this recipe. Recently this year, we started a compost pile outside in our backyard. So I'm gonna save all of these eggshells, rinse them off, and then put them in our compost. I believe eggshells provide a lot of calcium for soil. I think that's what it is. That's really good about them. I'm gonna flip our hash browns around real quick, just kind of toss them because we don't want them to get burned on one side, which they were frozen when I put them in the pan, so they shouldn't burn, but you just kind of want to stir them around and flip them to get them a little cooked. All right, I did wash my eggshells, so I'm gonna put them in our compost bucket. We typically fill this bucket up a couple times a week, And then my husband, or I sometimes, but usually my husband, will take it outside and put it in our compost area. And we're gonna add 1 cup of milk to our eggs. And I know this isn't a technical liquid measuring cup, so if you're a home ec teacher, do they even have home ec anymore? I don't know. Don't come after me. My liquid measuring cups are all dirty. And we'll add our seasoning to our eggs as well. I'm gonna give these a little whisk real quick, break up those yolks. All right, so we have garlic powder. I love using garlic powder. Make sure to get the small side because I've done too many times where I'm going to pour this out and I accidentally have the big side open and then you get way too much garlic and you gotta start all over again. And then onion powder, paprika, and a pinch of salt, and some pepper. Going back to the whole home ec thing, I really wonder if they even have home ec classes anymore. I remember you'd have, mine was in 8th grade, you'd have a sewing course, a health course, and then like a cooking course where you learned all the different cooking utensils, the cooking stuff, which I grew up with my mom baking and cooking, so nothing we learned was like super groundbreaking, but I'm curious. If you were in school recently, let me know. Do they even offer home ec courses anymore? Or if you're a teacher, comment below and tell me because I have zero idea what they're teaching in schools anymore. I'm so far removed from the school system. Our potatoes are looking pretty good. They're all thawed. They're not fully brown yet, but that's okay because we still need to cook our eggs. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of mix this together and they'll keep cooking for a little while longer. This smells so good. Sausage and the bacon grease, yum. Now we're ready for our eggs, so I'll pour them in here. So now we kind of just let these cook and we mix it around like you're making scrambled eggs and it all just cooks together. And eventually all you'll be left, you won't have any like soupiness anymore because all the eggs will be cooked. So we're gonna go ahead and let this do its thing. While we wait for the eggs to cook up, and do their thing, I'm going to chop up some green onions to sprinkle over top of the burrito mixture before we put them in the freezer. Growing up, I was not that big of an onion person. My sister definitely wasn't. I was more open to certain foods, but my sister, I remember in the summer we would be home by ourselves and we had pizza rolls was one of the things we would get. And my sister would pick out the onions from her pizza rolls. She would just have like a knife and fork just kind of digging through her pizza rolls. I think this is starting to look like a good amount of onions for our burritos. I chopped up 4 here. If you're the type of person who really likes to know all the ins and outs and details of recipes, like the measurements, both recipes that I'm making today will be linked in the description below, and you can check those out for detailed instructions on how to make this at home. Our egg mixture is done. It looks so good, smells so good. All right, we are gonna bring this over to the countertop. Something else that you could do with this recipe is add like bell peppers. I love bell peppers. I probably would have added them, but we don't have any in the fridge right now. So I'm just gonna add some onions. But bell peppers in this cooked up and sauteed would have been really good too. Here is how I'm going to put these together. Get my tortilla shells. And again, if you wanna get fancy, you can make homemade tortillas if you would like. But I'm using good old store-bought flour tortillas. So we have 8 tortillas here and I think it'll fill up all 8. Start with our tortilla, layer some eggs and sausage, add onions, and I have a bunch of shredded cheddar cheese right here. I'm gonna put that on here too. We'll see if my rolling skills are still pretty good. always do this. I always fill them a little too full. Cute little burrito. I think that'll be good. It'll melt the cheese to it. Okay, and then we're just gonna keep going. So far, I was able to get 8 burritos done, and I still have a decent amount of the egg sausage mixture left. So I did buy a 16-pack of the flour tortillas from the store. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on the other 8, and we'll see how far we get. If I still have leftover, then I'll just throw it in a container and keep it in the fridge. But we're getting a lot out of this one batch of breakfast burrito mix. We did end up getting 14 burritos. I didn't use all 16 tortilla shells. Wow. Mine just went 0 there. So I didn't end up using all tortilla shells because I ran out of the chopped onions and I'm super low on my cheese. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put the rest of our egg mixture into a container, and then we can eat it throughout the week, and I won't put this portion in the freezer. So that'll be perfectly fine and work just great for us. Because we both work from home, so we have all meals at home, don't eat out a lot. So this will be great for us, for early morning breakfast. And it'll be good for our toddler. Hash browns, eggs, and sausage, yeah. So I am going to go ahead and just put the casserole that we were gonna make in a separate video because this one's starting to get a little long. So if you wanna watch that one, it'll be linked in the description below, and right here, you can click on the screen and go to that video as well. But don't jump ship yet. We are almost done. I'm going to cook the tortillas, and then we're gonna package them and throw them in the freezer. I'm going to go ahead and bring my burritos over here, and we're gonna use this pan again. And we're just gonna use it to cook on both sides so we get a little bit of crispness on the burritos, and then everything will melt together and just be easier for storing. And when you wanna go to eat these, you can heat them up either by using an air fryer, which I think would be the best idea, or throwing them in the microwave if you need something fast. I think my pan is finally getting hot enough. So hopefully the reason I am cooking these on both sides is to hopefully really seal these so they don't fall apart. So that's the whole goal here in what I'm doing. Oh, that one looks pretty good. Oh yeah, it's got that golden brown just like we want it. So this is how I prep my burritos for the freezer. Lay our tin foil down, roll our burrito in the saran wrap for just a first layer, and then in the tin foil. And I double wrap like this so that it doesn't get freezer burnt. Then I always write on my tin foil exactly what is in here and the date that we made them. There you go, nothing pretty, but it works. And there you have it. Super easy meal prep burritos that you can make at home on a really good budget. These will cost you $1 to $2 a burrito, depending on where you buy your food, what state you're in. Costs vary so much if you get brand name or generic brand name. So it really depends, organic, but $1 to $2 per serving is what it should even out to a little bit. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you try these burritos, if you try meal prepping these at home. Let me know what you think, how they went, what your family thought of them, and make sure to check out that video. It'll be linked right here to the breakfast casserole, so don't forget to watch that one, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks, y'all.